There's a sharp, electric moment when everything changes. It's the instant when a manipulative person realizes that you see them, truly see them. The charm, the sweet words, the fake concern, it's all become transparent. You're no longer buying into the illusion they've carefully built. You've caught them in the act, and now, they know you know. That shift in energy is almost tangible. It's as if a switch has been flipped. The person who was once so smooth, so convincing, now feels exposed. You can see the panic behind their eyes as they realize the mask has slipped. The game is up. And in that moment, they shift from subtle manipulation to something far more dangerous, psychological warfare. You might feel a wave of satisfaction at the realization that you've seen through them, but don't be fooled. The battle is just beginning. The manipulation doesn't stop, it only gets more intense. What happens next is critical. The way you respond to their awareness of your awareness is going to dictate how this conflict unfolds. And here's the truth, you don't have to react with anger or fear. You don't need to launch into a heated argument or scramble to prove you're right. The Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca, faced betrayal, backstabbing, and power games at the highest levels. They mastered the art of maintaining inner peace amid chaos. And so can you. The moment someone realizes you see through them, it's easy to feel the urge to react. To defend yourself. To prove your point. But that's exactly what they want, to provoke a reaction. The Stoic way is different. It's not about fighting fire with fire. It's about staying calm, holding your ground, and refusing to be dragged into their drama. Instead of scrambling to explain yourself or justify your actions, take a deep breath and step back. Let them talk. Let them twist the narrative. It's not your job to correct every lie they tell. Your role is to stay consistent in your truth. To live your life in a way that makes their lies irrelevant. Marcus Aurelius famously said, "If someone can prove me wrong and show me my mistake, I'll gladly change. But if not, I'll keep walking my path." This mindset is the key. You don't need to engage with their drama. Just keep showing up with your integrity, your calm, and your consistency. The lies will eventually lose power because truth, when lived, can't be denied. It doesn't need to be defended, it simply is. In this moment, don't be tempted to act out of anger or frustration. Your peace is your power. You don't owe anyone an explanation or a justification for your clarity. The ones who understand you will see through the lies, and the ones who don't, well, they weren't worth your energy in the first place. Once a manipulator realizes that you see through them, they don't back down. They double down. The first thing they'll likely do is attempt to flip the narrative. You see, the illusion has collapsed, and instead of owning up to their actions, they'll scramble to rewrite the story. Suddenly, you're not the one who caught on. You're the one who's overreacting, too sensitive, too emotional, or making things up. They'll try to make you feel like you're imagining things, questioning your clarity, and, most dangerously, make you doubt your own perception of reality. This is classic gaslighting. But it's more than just denying the truth, it's a strategy designed to regain control of the situation. The manipulator knows that by casting doubt on your perceptions, they can regain the upper hand. It's not just about making you feel crazy, it's about reasserting their power by controlling the narrative. The more they can make you doubt your own senses, the more they can continue manipulating you without being exposed. This tactic is especially powerful because it exploits one of the most basic human instincts, the desire for fairness. Most good people want to be understood. They want to avoid conflict. They don't want to seem dramatic or judgmental. And manipulators know this. They count on your empathy, your hesitation to judge too quickly, and your innate desire to keep the peace. So, when they try to flip the narrative, the temptation to respond is strong. You want to defend yourself, to make them see the truth. But the Stoics offer us a different approach. Marcus Aurelius didn't spend his time arguing with liars or manipulators. Instead, he focused on living in a way that made lies irrelevant. He believed that truth comes through character, not confrontation. In his own words, "If someone can prove me wrong and show me my mistake, I'll gladly change. But if not, I'll keep walking my path." This is the Stoic way. Don't engage in their fight. Don't waste energy trying to prove the truth to someone who's committed to lying. Instead, focus on your own path. Let them speak. Let them twist the story. You don't need to compete with lies. Your consistency and calmness will do the work for you. Remember, you're not responsible for their version of events. You are only responsible for how you live your life. So, when they try to flip the narrative, don't take the bait. Stay grounded in your truth. The more you react, the more they win. But when you stand firm in your own reality, the lie will eventually fall apart. Once the manipulator realizes that flipping the narrative isn't working, they often try a different tactic, pretending nothing ever happened. This is not awkwardness or denial, it's calculated silence. They suddenly act as though everything is fine. No apologies, no acknowledgement of the harm they've caused, just casual, friendly gestures. A quick, "Hey, how are you?" or a comment on your social media, something to slip back into your life as though nothing has changed. It's a test. They want to see if you'll play along. If you'll return to the old dynamic. If you'll drop your guard and allow them back in as if nothing occurred. They need to know if the damage they caused has truly affected you or if you're still easily manipulated. If you respond and act like everything's normal, then they win, not because they've changed, but because you've wavered. This tactic is especially effective because it plays on your natural inclination to seek harmony. Most good people don't want to make waves. They don't want to create awkwardness or conflict. They want resolution. And manipulators are well aware of this. They count on your empathy, your kindness, and your desire to not rock the boat. Here's where the Stoics offer a powerful perspective. Marcus Aurelius didn't walk around arguing with liars or manipulators. He didn't waste his time trying to confront falsehoods. Instead, he committed to living in such a way that lies lost their power. He believed in clarity through character, not confrontation. When someone attempts to erase the damage they've caused through silence or pretense, don't rush to re-engage. Watch. Observe. Let their actions speak louder than their words. Emotional distance isn't coldness, it's wisdom. The manipulator is testing you. They want to see if they can return to the same place they once held in your life. But the Stoic path is about discernment, not convenience. It's about recognizing when someone is trying to deceive you into letting them back in. It's about respecting your own boundaries and not being swayed by the false comfort of familiarity. If you feel guilty for not accepting their sudden friendliness, remember this: forgiveness is about releasing the weight, not the wisdom. You can forgive someone without pretending nothing happened. Moving forward doesn't mean letting them back in. You're allowed to protect your peace by maintaining distance, even if they pretend like everything is fine. The Stoic approach is not about bitterness, it's about being unshakable. Your peace is too valuable to gamble on appearances. If someone who hurt you returns with warmth but no accountability, you don't need to slam the door. But you don't need to rush back either. Let time reveal their true intentions, and keep your focus on your own path. When the manipulator realizes they can no longer control the situation with charm or pretense, they may resort to a more insidious tactic, undermining you behind closed doors. Instead of confronting you directly, they begin to spread subtle distortions of your words or actions to others. It might start as innocent-sounding comments like, "I'm just worried about them," or "they've been acting differently lately." But underneath, it's a calculated attempt to plant doubt in others' minds about your character and intentions. They poison the well from the shadows, making sure that, even if you haven't seen it, their whisper campaign is already shifting how others perceive you. The manipulator doesn't need to destroy you outright, they just need to discredit you enough to sow confusion. And when people hear these rumors, they often start to question you, even if they don't consciously realize it. The damage is done, even without you knowing it. At this point, it can be tempting to confront the person or to defend yourself. You might want to clear your name, correct the narrative, or make sure people know what's really going on. But this is where the Stoics teach us an important lesson. Once you step into that arena, you've already lost. The manipulator has shifted the battle to a place where they have more control. Now, you're reacting to their terms. Instead, the Stoic approach is one of measured restraint. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, said, "The true mark of a great mind is the ability to rise above insults, not ignore them out of weakness, but choose not to be controlled by them." You cannot outtalk someone whose main goal is to twist your image. But what you can do is live in such alignment with your values that the contrast between who you truly are and what they say about you becomes obvious. Your actions, your consistency, your integrity, these are your weapons. You don't need to fight fire with fire. You just need to make sure your public life reflects the truth. Let your presence be the proof that contradicts the rumors. Live so clearly and consistently that the lies eventually crumble on their own. The Stoics didn't see reputation as something we can fully control. They believed that reputation comes from living in alignment with our values, not from constantly defending ourselves against attacks. If someone is spreading lies about you, your job is to continue living the truth. Time will reveal the truth for what it is, and the manipulator's lies will fade away. By choosing not to engage in their game, you not only protect your peace, but you also ensure that the truth stands stronger than any smear campaign. When all else fails, when their lies don't hold up and their charm starts to fall flat, some manipulators resort to one final, more deceptive tactic: the illusion of transformation. They suddenly present themselves as softer, more self-aware, or more understanding. They apologize, offer support, or make promises of change that they never made before. At first, it may seem like genuine growth, but it's not. This change isn't real. It's just another strategy to regain control over you. The manipulator isn't truly evolving, they're recalibrating their approach to regain access to your life. It might seem convincing at first. You might even want to believe it. They might say, "I've been thinking a lot lately," or "I want to do better," and for a moment, you may wonder if they've finally learned their lesson. But don't be fooled. The key here is clarity over hope. Manipulative people don't change, they adapt. They change their tactics, but not their core behaviors. When they realize their usual methods aren't working, they will try a new one, hoping to lure you back in. They know that if they can make you believe in their change, they can regain your trust and re-enter your life on their terms. This is where Stoicism offers an important lesson: do not respond to emotional bait with emotional decisions. Marcus Aurelius warned against becoming like those who harm us. The best revenge, he said, is not to be like them. So when a manipulator suddenly shifts their tone, their actions, or their approach, don't jump in with open arms. Observe their behavior, but don't rush to trust them. True change isn't loud or immediate, it's consistent, humble, and patient. It's not about grand gestures or sudden apologies, it's about day-to-day growth that speaks for itself over time. The manipulator's change will likely be temporary, just long enough to reel you back in. They're not seeking reconciliation or healing, they're seeking control. They want to regain access to your emotions, your time, and your trust. But you are under no obligation to let them in. The Stoic path teaches that true forgiveness isn't about letting someone back into your life, it's about releasing the weight of resentment without reopening the door to the same toxic patterns. Change isn't about promises, it's about actions. So, stay grounded in your truth and pay attention to the consistency of their behavior, not the temporary charm. Don't rush to believe in change, let time show you if it's real. And even then, remember, you don't owe anyone your trust. Trust is earned through consistent, meaningful change, not through emotional manipulation. When a manipulator realizes they've lost direct control over you, they rarely walk away without trying to regain ground. But instead of attacking you head-on, they begin to test your boundaries subtly. It starts small, maybe a friendly text or a comment on something you posted online. A little nudge to see if your guard has dropped. They'll say something like, "Just thinking about you," or "I miss our chats," as if nothing's happened. But these aren't innocent gestures, they're calculated probes designed to see if you'll let your boundaries slip. They're not expecting you to crumble immediately. Instead, they want to see if they can break you down, piece by piece, by pushing against your limits just a little at a time. If you respond, even just a little, they take it as permission. If you explain yourself or start to engage in the conversation, they treat it like an invitation to negotiate your boundaries. And if you ignore them, they escalate, just slightly, until they find a crack in your defenses. This tactic is insidious because it's so subtle. You might not even realize that your boundaries are being pushed until it's too late. It can feel like a harmless gesture at first, but in reality, it's a way to wear you down without making you aware of it. This is how cycles of manipulation continue. Not because the manipulator does something extreme, but because they rely on your kindness, your hesitation to be harsh, and your reluctance to seem cold. This is where Stoicism offers us a powerful tool, the power of silence and self-control. Epictetus, one of the Stoic philosophers, famously said, "The only thing truly in our control is our own response." We can't control what tests others throw our way, but we can control our reaction. And sometimes, the strongest boundary you can set is the one that goes unspoken. The Stoics believed that boundaries weren't just declared with words, they were lived through discipline. When the manipulator starts to push your boundaries, resist the urge to explain or justify yourself. Simply stand firm. Don't allow their subtle pressure to make you feel guilty for protecting your peace. Silence, in this case, is strength. By refusing to engage, you make it clear that you're not available for their games. And over time, this consistent, quiet resistance sends a stronger message than any confrontation ever could. Remember, you don't need to respond to every text, every comment, or every whisper meant to bait you back into dysfunction. Your peace isn't rude, it's protective. Holding your ground, even when the pressure is subtle, is an act of self-respect. You're not obligated to explain yourself to anyone who has already shown they can't be trusted. Protect your peace at all costs. Sometimes, the best boundary is silence. When all their other tactics fail, when they can no longer manipulate you with charm, lies, subtle pressure, or the illusion of change, some manipulators resort to one final move, isolating or discrediting you in the eyes of others. If they can't control you directly, they'll try to control how others perceive you. It's not always a full-on attack, rather, it's a slow, subtle erosion of your relationships and reputation. They'll start whispering behind your back, making offhand comments to mutual friends or colleagues. They've been acting distant, or I'm just worried about them, they seem off lately. They may claim that they're concerned about your well-being or that they've been trying to reach out but you've been unresponsive. The goal is to create doubt in the minds of people around you, making them question your stability or sanity. This kind of psychological warfare is especially dangerous because it can make you feel truly isolated. As the manipulator sows seeds of doubt in others, you might find that the people you thought you could count on start pulling away. Invitations stop coming. Opportunities seem to vanish. You may feel like you're losing touch with the very people you've trusted. This is when the Stoic approach becomes a lifeline. The instinct is to fight back, to explain yourself, to clear the air and defend your reputation. But the Stoics teach restraint. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The one thing worth clinging to in this life is to live truthfully and rightly, and be patient with those who don't." This doesn't mean you should passively accept their manipulation, it means you don't need to fight fire with fire. The Stoic way is to stay grounded in your own truth, regardless of the rumors. If someone is trying to isolate you or discredit you, don't waste energy trying to control how others see you. Instead, keep showing up with integrity. Let your actions, your consistency, and your character speak for themselves. You are not responsible for how others perceive you, only for how you live your life. When you live in alignment with your values, the truth will eventually reveal itself. The manipulator can spread lies, but in time, the contrast between their words and your actions will become clear. It's not about defending yourself in every conversation or trying to convince people of your truth. It's about living authentically, letting your life reflect who you truly are. Over time, those who are truly in your corner will see through the manipulation. And those who don't? Well, they weren't worth your time or energy anyway. The Stoics teach that our reputation is not something we can fully control, it's our character, the way we live, that matters most. When all else fails, when they've pushed every boundary, manipulated every narrative, and even tried to turn others against you, some manipulators will quietly fade away. But don't be fooled. Their retreat is often just another move in their playbook, a final attempt to regain control. At this point, the manipulator has no more direct influence over you. They've lost the power they once had, and they know it. But before they vanish, they may try one last subtle attempt to pull you back into their world. They'll try to make you feel guilty for not engaging, or they may drop hints that they miss you, maybe even pretend to have learned from their mistakes. This isn't an apology, nor is it real change. It's one final push to see if they can manipulate you into lowering your guard. They'll make it seem like they've moved on, but the reality is they want you to still believe there's a chance of reconciliation. They may silently wish you'd reach out, or they'll hope that in their absence, you'll begin to doubt your decision to distance yourself. But here's where the Stoic wisdom shines through. The Stoics teach us that true freedom comes from letting go, not from re-engaging with toxicity. When someone fades away, don't go chasing them. Let them go. The manipulator will only return if you give them permission. Your peace is too precious to waste on a relationship that demands constant vigilance and emotional manipulation. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that the best revenge is to live well. This doesn't mean living a life dedicated to spite or anger, but living a life that is aligned with your truth. The more you remain focused on your own growth, the less power they have over you. You are no longer tethered to their chaos, their lies, or their attempts to control your emotions. This final act of fading away is liberating for you. It's a reminder that you've broken free from their grip. You've stayed true to yourself, held your boundaries, and resisted their manipulations. You've reclaimed your peace. In the end, the manipulator is a shadow of what they once were. They may try to return, but if you've lived your life with integrity and clarity, they can never truly regain the control they once had over you. You've become unshakable, and that is your ultimate victory.